Hello, everyone. I'm North Hempstead Town Supervisor Judy Bosworth. In response to the COVID-19 pandemic, we have embarked on creating a virtual exercise series for our senior residents. We partnered with our Project Independence fitness instructors to host these virtual classes, which allow you to stay fit and healthy by participating from the safety of your home. Please enjoy.
Hi, my name is Rebecca, and I will be guiding this Restorative Yin Yoga class on North Hempstead television for Project Independence exercise. So when you're doing Restorative Yin, you should have props to help you come into poses a little bit deeper. One of the things I always use is a bolster. So if you have pillows, if you don't have a bolster, if you don't have a pillow that looks like this, you can also use one or two pillows because we will be using this bolster in the practice. The other thing you should have are blocks or books, something that can bring the earth closer, that could give the legs a little bit of support. We're going to be in some reclining poses where I will recommend using blocks for opening up and also for use to bring support to body parts. Just so you know, there's all kinds of blocks out there. Some of the blocks have holes in it so you can grab them a little bit easier. For some people, it's hard to grab the block. Maybe the grasp isn't as great as it used to be. So they do make blocks with holes in them so you can use your fingers, you can hold it that way, both hands. Just so you know, I wanted to show this off. Another thing, you should have a rolled up blanket. Maybe when we come down into the reclining pose, you may want to put it under the neck. So I'll just roll a towel or something. I just have all of my props available as we kind of go through class, because I will recommend using different kinds of props. So that all being said, let's find a nice seat on the mat, really grounding down. We will not be standing up at this class at all. It's all down on the mat, mostly reclining till just during the warm up or we seated. So let's go ahead and just place the front of our hands on our knees. Inhaling and exhaling. Inhaling those positive breaths, bringing in positive thoughts, thinking about people or things that make you happy. Filling the body up with that breath and happy thought, and exhaling to release and let go, allowing the body to soften. Inhaling and exhaling, following that pattern of positive breaths in and exhaling to soften and let go of tension that the body holds in. Sometimes tension sneaks in, we don't even know it's there. A lot of times it's in that lower back. That lower back holds the tension in above and below. So when you take that breath in and you let go of that tension, let go of all of the tension that surrounds that lower back. Softening. Inhale, rising up. And exhale, releasing and letting go. And just returning to the rhythm of your natural breath. I do cue breath a lot, but not the entire class. So if I'm not cueing breath, it doesn't mean to hold your breath. Always breathe. Bring the arms to a T. Bring those arms up, aligning the spine. Exhaling, lowering the fingertips down toward the earth. Inhale, palms up. Palms and fingers together. Lower to heart center. And go ahead and set an intention for your class today. As always, an intention is something that you intend to accomplish for yourself. So this is for you. What would you like to accomplish today in class? What would you like to accomplish today throughout the rest of the day or into the evening? What is it that you intend to accomplish? Take a breath in and out on that intention. And then dedicate your practice to someone or something that brings you joy. Whether it's a great friend, it's a sibling, it's a pet, something that just brings you joy. Throughout your practice today, just reflect on that dedication. Take a nice full breath in, exhale, and then inhale those fingertips up, crossing all the fingers, turning the palms up, pushing the palms forward, opening up and just twisting to the right. Right hand's coming behind the back, left hand on the outside of that right knee. Just giving those organs inside a little bit of a massage from your twist. Inhale, we lengthen the spine. Exhale, we twist, just to release the breath and soften. Just a couple of breaths here. In restorative yin, we tend to hold poses a lot longer than we normally would in a regular gentle class, a general yoga class. Breathing in, we lengthen the spine. Exhale, we soften, and that's when we come into the twist a little bit deeper. Always guiding and never forcing. And slowly coming out of it. You slowly come out of a twist because the spine's in a lot of different positions. Palms up. Inhale those hands up. And just bring the fingers together. Push those palms up toward the sky. Nice stretch. And then twist to the left. Left hand comes behind the back. Right hand on the outside of that left knee. Inhale to lengthen the spine. Crown of the head rises up. Exhale to twist to the left. Beautiful. Feels good. So remember, we're holding a little bit longer than we would in a general yoga class, in an all-level yoga. And slowly coming out of it. Inhaling those hands up, realigning the spine. And this time, just placing the hands right on the front of the knees, crown of the head's reaching up toward the sky. We're just going to warm up the cervical spine very gently, shoulders stacked over the hips, and look to the right. And pause and center, pause, and to your left, and pause. And just do this a few times, warming up the cervical spine. And back to center, and slowly lowering that right ear toward the right shoulder. We're not bringing the shoulder up. We're stretching the left side of the neck. So we're lowering the right ear toward the right shoulder to stretch out the left side. And remember again, we're guiding, very gentle guide. Breathing through it, in and out breaths. And slowly roll the chin toward the chest. And roll the head back, gazing it right over your head. Don't go back too far. Gazing forward. Now let's lower the left ear toward the left shoulder, stretching out the right side of the neck. Noticing that one side is usually very, very different than the other. Nice stretch on the right side. My left side is not as bendy as my right side. And slowly roll the chin to the chest. Roll the head back. And gazing forward, bringing those hands to a T, bring those hands up, nice, and then lower them down onto the front of the knees. We're going to do some seated cat and cows to warm up the rest of the spine before we come down onto the mat for our restorative yin. So we're going to soften the arms, bring that chest up toward the sky, inhaling in cow. Inhale, we rise up. It's like we power up. Abdomen comes forward, and then we exhale. The body softens. We release. The arms straighten out. Chin to chest, round the spine. Inhale, rising up. Chest rises up, gazing up. Arms are soft. Exhale, back into cat. Softening that spine. Extending those arms, chin to chest. Just take about 2 more at your own pace. Inhaling, rising up. Exhaling, coming into that cow, rounding that spine. And when you're through, not rushing through, just come to your comfortable seat. Now we're going to take whatever props you have for the bolster. If you don't have a bolster and you have a couple of pillows that you want to stack, because we are going to rest our legs on the bolster, so to bring our hips up, and that's going to be one of the first reclining poses that we do. So you want to have something that you could put your legs on, even if you have a folded blanket or towels, whatever you can come closest to with a bolster. Always having your blocks handy, because we're probably going to utilize those, and also your rounded blanket. You want to have that nearby you, maybe on the side, because you don't want to have something too far so that you're always kind of reaching for it. So that all being said, let's all bring our knees together, extend the legs out a little bit, stretch it out a little bit, maybe walk them out in front of you, just get a little more circulation if you've been seated cross-legged for a little bit. I like to do that, rotate ankle, nice. So we're going to position ourselves now facing the back end of your mat. I've got my bolster across the front of the mat. I'm going to bring my feet. We're going to be coming into reclining butterfly pose, also called Supta Baddha Konasana in Sanskrit. So you can bring your feet together and slowly just move your seat nice and close to your bolster. You can be touching the bolster. The soles of your feet are on the bolster. When we come down, when we start to recline down, you want to make sure that your feet are being supported by the bolster. You don't want your feet hanging over on the edge, because that could impact the lower back. You want the feet supported. So the closer the feet and the feet are toward the body, the more intense it is. So it's really, really up to you how intense. You can make this pose even more intense if you want by placing the block between the feet, and that will open you up more. And that's entirely up to you. So it's an option. Block also goes a couple of different directions. If this is your first time trying this pose, I do recommend without the block. So seats nice and close, feet are together. You're in that butterfly pose, and we're going to slowly come down onto the mat. Use your arms coming down onto the forearms on one and then the other, whatever it takes to support yourself until you're reclining on the mat. You'll notice that your seat has probably moved away. You can see how mine has moved away from the bolster. You can, if you want, shimmy yourself back down, or wherever you're comfortable. Soles of the feet are together. If you want, you can take your blocks and support the leg. So whatever it is that's going to keep you comfortable in a butterfly pose for a few minutes. We're going to be in here a total of 5 minutes, including setting up to come in. So once we get into the pose fully, it'll probably be another 3 minutes. So I'll be talking through it. But once you've kind of found the right pose for your hips for this restorative yin butterfly legs, we're going to open up the chest too. So let's start out by bringing the fingertips up toward the sky. Palms are facing each other, and your fingertips are up, reaching up just so much that your shoulders are slightly lifted up off the mat. And we're going to take a nice breath in, and on the exhale, we're going to slowly roll the arms open to a T. So the fingertips are reaching open, the shoulders are rolling out, the chest is nice and open, and then just start to move your arms a little bit closer toward your body with your palms up toward the sky. And now we're going to walk the shoulder blades together underneath us. So we're coming into a kind of like a heart bench without props. So when we're in a heart bench, we generally will use a block or a roll towel or something and put it in between our shoulder blades, but above the rib cage underneath us, and that opens us up. And we are going to try that a little bit later. So once you've got the chest open, the hips open, you're comfortable
Any discomfort throughout this, know you've come out of it. Your best way to come out of this butterfly pose is by pushing your feet together with just a little bit more force and helping the knees come together. And then just bring them in for a nice hug, and you can move from side to side. So whatever you feel you need to do at any point during this reclining pose, please do. So we've got the soles of the feet together. Maybe you've got blocks under the hip or under the knee or whatever it is. Your shoulder blades, you're walking them together to open up the chest. Palms are facing up toward the sky. Nice breaths. Any discomfort in that neck, if you want, you can always take that rolled towel and place it in a way to give your neck support, to give you comfort. And that's all up to you. That's why I have a lot of props. So I have a lot of times I don't use a lot of them, but sometimes like today, I feel like I need this for my neck. And knowing that with opening up the chest, it kind of slides a little bit. So you can, every maybe 10 or 15 breaths, if you like, just move the shoulder blades together a little bit underneath you. Not the shoulders, it's the shoulder blades doing the work. Palms are facing up toward the sky, making sure that the feet stay connected and that they're not hanging over your bolster or your pillow, whatever you've got your legs on. So we're really getting a nice opening here in the hips, in the chest, heart bench, working with your heart chakra, inhales and exhales, and maybe thinking about that positive dedication you made earlier. Who did you think about? Was it someone from your past, a child, or your sibling? Was it a pet? And just think about that positive thought as you're breathing gently here. Breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. And just continuing with gentle breaths. If you're a little congested, a lot of us are, you can always breathe out through the mouth. Listen to the body. The body's telling you what it needs. Let's try to focus on the lower back here a little bit. Remember how I talked about the tightness that the back kind of holds us in underneath and above. And that could be happening right now. So if you take notice of how your lower back feels on the earth right now, take a full breath in and a big exhale, releasing the tension from that lower back. And then notice the difference of the contact the lower back has after that nice big releasing breath. You should feel a little bit more melting. You may even find that the legs are a little bit more open. So we're just going to be here for about 5 more breaths. Taking some breaths in, maybe walk the shoulders together one last time in this pose. Nice. And start to push the feet together here. As you're doing that, bring those knees together. You can also guide the knees together and slowly bring the knees in towards you. Not bringing the knees together, but just bringing them in and maybe just gently moving from side to side. And then if you have your bolster right close to you, you can push it out of the way, just keeping it right off the mat, and lower the feet down toward the mat and heel toe the feet apart. We're going to do some windshield wiper leg just to get some rotation in those hips because they were in that one position for quite a while. Just moving them around a little bit. Nice. We're going to heel toe the feet together. And we're going to bring the knees in and maybe just start to rock a little bit here. We could bring the knees in because we're going to come up to sit. And then we're up to sit. So what we're going to do now is kind of come into the opposite of where we were before. So we're going to move the block of the bolster away. And we're going to come into heart bench. So there's a lot of different ways to come into a heart bench. For restorative, and especially if this is one of the first times you're doing it, you may want to just place your roll blanket underneath you, right so that it's going to be connected to your spine, and you're going to want it to start right where the rib cage starts. You don't want it to go below the rib cage. You don't want it at the middle of the back. Rather, you want it right where the rib cage underneath you starts. And then you're just going to roll yourself down, and you should just kind of feel like if you open up the shoulder blades, you can walk them together and kind of hug that towel underneath you. And then we're going to come into butterfly pose, just like we did before, but this time without the bolster. So now we're using props on the back for heart bench and no props for butterfly pose. However, I don't like to say no props because you certainly can use blocks here to put the block under the leg, wherever you want. I mean, you could do a number of things here. You can put the block right under the knee. You can put it flat under the hip. You can put it lower, or you don't need it, whatever you're feeling. But know that the closer the heels are to the body, the more intense this pose is, so that's up to you. So find what's comfortable for you. Maybe it's sending the feet down closer to the edge of the mat, using both props, using blocks, pillows to support the leg. Whatever you're using, just because you're using a prop doesn't mean that you're not getting the full benefit of the pose. You actually are getting the full benefit of the pose because you're listening to your body. You're not pushing your body toward pain, rather you're supporting the body to allow the body to come into the pose in the best way for you. So this is reclining butterfly pose, but also heart bench now. If you have done heart bench before and you have your blocks and you want to use your blocks, you can do heart bench that way. So that's when the block comes again up right where the rib cage starts, not below the rib cage, right in the middle of the spine, and you roll onto the block. And this is intense, so you really need to have done this before to do it now. And then you take your other block and rest it under the head. So this is yet another way to come into heart bench using blocks. So whatever way you're in heart bench, whatever is working for you, find the best comfort now. So we're going to be opening up the chest because this is the heart. We're focusing on heart bench right now. You want to make sure that the shoulder blades are trying to come closer underneath you, really opening up the chest here. Soles of the feet are together and you're in butterfly pose. And again, know at any point, you can go ahead and push the feet together and extend the leg out. Maybe give the knees a little bit of a break, or the hips. You can even, if you want to, a little windshield wiper. Just making sure that you're not coming off your props, your blanket, your blocks for heart bench. So now that we're coming into the reclining heart bench with legs in butterfly pose, let's go ahead and again, release the tension, but now let's focus on that upper back. So from the rib cage up, so take a nice full breath in here. And on that slow exhale, just release from the whole of the back and shoulders, really melting onto your blanket, that rolled blanket underneath you. Shoulder blades coming together, chest is opening, palms are still up toward the sky. You want to do what you can to open up that chest. So I'm kind of squeezing the block underneath me with my shoulder blades. I've done this a lot. So I'm kind of able to come into this pose using the blocks. You know, the way I started was by using a blanket. That's how I eventually worked my way into the blocks. I did it very slowly. And that's really what everybody should be doing. So you really should be at this point using just a blanket underneath. You roll to open up the chest. Inhales and exhales, softening too, soften from that lower back. Maybe you'll get a little bit more distance in that reclining butterfly pose. Breathing, breathing, breathing. We'll be here for another minute or so. Very important
out of heart bench, especially when you're using blocks, that you come into a counter stretch. So once we're through with this pose, I will cue us to roll onto our right side. And almost like we're coming into Garbhasana, almost like we're coming into fetal pose. And we're gonna bring those knees in toward the chest and just kind of come into a nice tucked roll. So to give the back, to counter that opening of the spine coming toward the back. You know, you want to do it slowly too. We don't want to rush through it. So let's take another 5 breaths here. Inhales and exhales. You can always engage that Ujjayi pranayama breath. That's the breath in the back of the throat that makes that ocean sound. On the exhale. I'm going to slowly start to push the soles of my feet together now. Bringing those knees together, or you can actually, help guide those knees together. And once the soles of the feet are on the earth, we're going to slowly find our way onto our right side. So if you have the towel wrap, just kind of helping yourself as much as possible, coming onto your right side, and then finding your way into Garbhasana. If you're on the blocks, take it nice and slow. Moving on to the right side, excuse me, using that right arm as a pillow. Bringing those knees together and bringing them in nice and close to the chest and just giving yourself a hug here. Making sure you're on your right side. Completely bringing those knees in, chin to chest, breathing in and resting. Until you're feeling comfortable, and slowly start to push your way up to a comfortable seat. We're going to take this time we're going to round the back, coming into a forward fold, hinging from the hips and just rolling down. Inhaling and pushing yourself up. Okay, so now we're going to come back down onto the mat. So find your way down. Again, keep those props nearby. Don't let them get too far away. You push them away sometimes, and I need to have them nearby. Here we go. Okay, so let's find our way back down onto the mat. Bring those knees in, just moving from side to side here. Massaging that back and shoulders. Should feel good and open. And then coming to stillness. So we're going to come into our reclining twist now. So keeping your props and everything nearby. We're going to bring the arms to a T. If you want to do what we did before, I always like starting out this way, lifting the shoulders up off the earth, rolling open, because it really gets that chest opened up nice. Move those shoulders together. And then we're going to come into a reclining twist. If you want to come into eagle legs, you can do that. If you want to just slowly lower the legs to the right, you want to make sure that the shoulders stay on the earth. So if you're finding that your left shoulders are lifting up, then you can always put a prop under that base leg, and that'll help get those shoulders balanced. So listen, play with your props to kind of find a way to come into the twist where the legs are on the earth. That's either with a prop, bringing the earth closer, or they're reclining there. If you want, you can always extend that top leg. If you want to grab onto the big toe, just making sure again that you've got those shoulder blades touching the earth. Your arms are at a T, your knees are toward the right, the upper body is toward the left, you're gazing over. If your knees are a little bit apart and you don't want to keep that top leg kind of dangling in the air, put a block or a pillow between them. So that top leg, I do this sometimes. So the top leg is also is on the earth, which is the block here. Gazing over toward the left fingertips. So again, this pose, that lower back, that's where a lot of the intensity of this pose is. A very intense pose.
because you've got your legs in one direction, the upper body in the other, and right at that middle section, that's where the intense yin part of this pose is. So if you take a nice full breath in and exhale to try to release from that lower back, the body softens a little bit, and you may find yourself coming into the pose a little bit deeper. You can also try to shimmy that right shoulder up a little and the left shoulder closer to the earth. Just knowing your own limits. Limits are not a bad thing, especially if you know your limits. There's a lot of things in yoga I put limits on because I know if I go too deep, I could injure myself. So, and I don't want to do that. So I just kind of listen to my body and kind of become familiar with the difference between being tight and something hurting. So you should probably have a good idea of that. Like if I take a deep breath in and my body softens and I'm able to come into a twist a little bit deeper, I know that it's tightness that was holding me in. But if I do that with the breath and it still hurts, I then stop. Don't do it. You can always come into a more relaxed, gentle pose to come out of the pose. Gazing over toward the left fingertips. You can also gaze up toward the sky. You don't have to reach that neck over. So again, listening to the body. And now we're just going to slowly start to roll out of it by rolling that lower back onto the mat. We're going to bring those knees in, give ourselves a nice tight hug, really tucked hug, but slowly. So we're tucking in, chin to chest, shoulders are off the mat, bringing those knees in toward the shoulder. Then letting go, rolling onto the shoulders. And now we're preparing to come into the reclining twist on the opposite side. So I'm going to twist myself this way. I've got my props nearby, my little blue one that has all the little holes in it. I've got everything I need nearby. And don't forget, you can always use your blanket for the neck. Bring those arms to a T. Open up that chest. And now we're going to slowly lower the legs to the left. So again, coming into whatever pose you want to come into. If you want to come into eagle legs, if you want to stretch out that top leg, the base leg, whatever is most comfortable for you. If you want to put a block between the leg. Again, you can go any direction that you want. Maybe you got this today. Maybe you have this. Maybe you don't need one. I'm putting one right here. In fact, I think I'm going to use a little bit of a wider one. It's so nice to have different options as I'm going through this. Arms are at a T. Legs are to the left. Gazing over toward the right fingertip. Shoulders are on the earth. And remember, you can gaze up toward the sky. You don't have to force yourself to look to the right. Listen to the body. Inhale. Let's do the inhales and exhales to release from that lower back. Gazing over. I'm noticing a little discomfort on that right shoulder. I'm going to move the blanket just a little bit under my shoulder, and that helped a lot. Opening up here, gazing toward the right. Always like to play with the prop. Sometimes I'll put my bolster behind my back when I'm in a reclining twist, just to give that kind of help to align the spine and give me a little bit of support. Right now I have a block there and that feels good too. It helps to kind of keep me in that twist a little deeper without reaching. Props are great. Let's take a nice full breath in and release from that lower back. In and exhale. Releasing. A couple more breaths here. Nice. And we're slowly going to remove any props that are in the way. And slowly start to roll onto the back. So remove the prop. Either you have a prop underneath that base leg or between the knees. And just start to roll onto the back. And let's go ahead and heel toe the feet to the edges of the mat and do some windshield wiper legs here. Nice. We're going to heel toe the feet together. So we're going to come into a restorative and, of course, bridge pose. So when we come into bridge pose and we're coming into it restorative, we're using the props to help keep our hips up as opposed to holding the hips up the whole time. This time we're going to gradually turn the block or start to layer the props underneath your sacrum to get the hips up higher. So first, let's find our bridge pose. So you want to have the soles of your feet on the earth, knees are reaching up toward the sky, feet are about hip distance apart, and you should just be able to touch your heels with your finger, just maybe the middle finger. You just have that. That's the best foundation to start out in coming into bridge pose. So we're going to now, so have your block or your pillow or your book handy, and we're going to bring it onto its flattest side. So for me, using this, I'm lifting up, I'm pushing down into the soles of my feet and lifting up from my quads and thighs. And I'm going to place the block under my sacrum, finding the position that it doesn't give me any discomfort. So moving around a little bit. I think I'm in good pose right now. Palms are facing up toward the sky. And let's open up the chest here. So this should not, if this is kind of too natural for you, if you're not feeling any bit of a challenge, then you can turn the block on its side or add another pillow or block. You want to feel like you're being lifted a little bit. So right now, from where we're at, really from right beneath where the rib cage starts in the lower back down toward your seat are lifted up. So your full shoulder blades are on the earth. Once we come into the next phase, we're going to turn the block on its side. So we're only going to have just the shoulders on the mat. So everything's kind of going to be angled up a little bit more. So because this is a restorative yin, we are holding the pose longer. We are using a prop to bring the hips up, but the legs are still working. You're still pushing the soles of the feet down into the earth and kind of lifting up from those quads, reaching up toward the sky with the lift of the prop. So let's take about 5 more breaths here before we turn the block to lift up a little bit higher. You can, if you want, also, see if you want to walk those shoulder blades together underneath you a little bit, and that opens up the chest. Nice. All right, so now we are going to reach up. We're going to turn the block on its side. I'm going to do this way. If you want, you can stack a block or books, whatever you have. So I'm lifting up. I'm sliding that block on the side. I'm using my legs. I'm lifting in bridge. My legs are still maintaining bridge. And I've got that nice block set to where it feels right so that when I am landing on it, I don't have any pain. I've got it in a position where it's supporting. It's just bringing the earth a little bit closer. I'm opening up my chest, walking those shoulder blades together. So it's not the shoulders and I'm walking together. It's underneath those shoulder blades, opening up the chest. It's continuing to push down. I still can basically have my fingertips reaching toward my heels. I have contact and I'm lifting here. Holding up a little bit. If this is uncomfortable for you, you can lower back down to a flatter side of the block or remove a book or a pillow, whatever you're using to support those hips up. Let's take about another 5 breaths here. Nice. Listen to the body. You want to use the props to help you come into poses deeper, and you don't want to come into a pose too deep if the body isn't prepared for it. So that's why we slowly raise the hips up a little bit here. And in fact, now we're going to come back down right back to the block on its flattest side. we're not coming right down to the earth yet. We're gradually finding our way back down there. So we're kind of coming into it. So we'll only be here for about 5 breaths. With the block now, see how the block is on its flattest side? Breathing, breathing, breathing. I'm always checking my pose. Fingers touching the heels, soles of the feet on the earth. Ground pushing down. Quads are rising up. I'm using the support. I'm contacting with this block. And now we're going to lift up and we're going to remove the block or pillow or whatever you have underneath you to slowly lower yourself down. So I'm removing it. I'm still up at the same height, getting rid of the block. I'm slowly, from my shoulders, I'm rolling down to my lower back, and it feels really good. And now I'm going to just bring my knees in very slowly. We're going to counter this bridge by giving ourselves a gentle hug. Don't bring the knees in too close. Listen to the body. You don't want to force it. And just maybe move from side to side. Nice. That feels good. Now we're going to come right into our inversion. So we're going to send our legs up. You can, if you want, use your block or bring your hands under your sacrum, whatever it is. Here, I got this block. I grabbed it, got a nice grab on it. Better placement. Send those feet up. Flex the feet. Moving my block a little bit to find the right place. There we go. For me, it's all different. And then we're coming into our inversion. We're going to flex and point the toes. Flex and point. Flex and point. Get some rotation in your ankles. By the way, I am actually wearing yoga socks. If you haven't noticed, when I'm doing standing yoga, I like to wear yoga socks because they have rubber on the bottom. So my feet can be warm and also I'm not sliding on the mat. So when you're doing a general yoga class and you're standing, you really should be barefoot or have some kind of sock that has some traction so you're not going to slide. So, and these are also toe socks. So flex and point, rotate the ankles. And from here, we're going to slowly find our way into happy baby. So go ahead and move that block or your hands. Find the outside of the feet, heels over the knee. And find your happy baby, moving from side to side. Hands are between the knees. Hands are on the outside of the feet, moving from side to side. You can stretch out one leg, stretch out the other. Whatever in happy baby is actually going to make you happy. How's that? Come into stillness, slowly bringing the soles of the feet together. We're going to lower down. Now coming into that reclining butterfly and heart bench without any props for the legs or the upper body. You should feel a little bit more open. Now we're just going to find ourselves comfortably in this pose just for a breath or two. No props. Inhale, releasing any tension. I'm going to move in this direction as we prepare to come into our Shavasana. Let's push the soles of the feet together. Bring those knees together. Extend the legs out. Palms up toward the sky. Few breaths here in Shavasana. Deep breath in and out. This is our final rest. On that exhale, really release. Allow the back to melt into the mat. Shoulders melting. Did a lot of work. We did a lot of opening here. So try to let that tension get out of the body, escape the body on your breath. Start to move your head from side to side. Wiggle the fingers and toes. Wrists and ankles. Come into that nice full body stretch, nice and slow. Nice full body stretch. And slowly finding your way into Shavasana on the side, right side, using the right side as the pillow, and the left hand comes to the earth, right in front of the heart. Shavasana's fetal pose represents a fresh start and a new beginning. Bring those knees in nice and tight too. One last nice stretch of the lower back and spine. Slowly push yourself up, finding a nice comfortable seat. Bringing the hands to heart center, shoulders stacked. And I'd like to thank you all for allowing me to guide you through this restorative yin class on North Hempstead television. I do hope that you all enjoyed it, and I hope that you will be watching Project Independence exercise again. Om Shanti, 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 which means peace. Peace to you and to all of your families. Namaste.